In order to grow, we have to step out of our comfort zone, and we're going to trip and fall and get a little beat up in the process. And that mindset shift just changed everything for me in my trajectory.
Introducing the Vixen Voice, a podcast for ambitious women entrepreneurs ready to move into their feminine essence, live their truth, and unlock their full potential. I'm your host, April Roberts, and each week I'll be interviewing inspiring women who decided to take a leap of faith to pursue their dream. Women who believe that they were born for something bigger. Hey there, just popping in quickly. It's April Roberts, and I wanted to thank you for being a loyal listener of the Vixen Voice. It means so much to me. And because of that, we're going to be popping in these little announcements because I want you to be the first to know what's going on at the Vixen Gathering. So if you haven't done so yet, click the link below and check out the Vixen Founders Collective. The members who are already in are raving, and we would love to have you join us in the ultimate business consulting, networking, and personal growth community for Gen X female founders. See you there. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Vixen Voice. Today, I'm super excited for our interview. Our guest is Kasey D'Amato, and she is an accomplished business advisor and executive life coach with 20 years of experience as a high-achieving professional. Listen to all the things she's done. She's a retired dermatology professional. She's the founder of a global skincare brand. Yes, we all want to hear about that. And she's also the founder of 2 coaching and consulting businesses in 2 separate industries, doing all of this while juggling marriage, life, all the things. So we're going to dig in today, and we're going to be focused on really high performance and how you can hit your goals and still thrive in your life. And you know, this is one of my favorite topics. So Kasey, welcome.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Well, Kasey, I kind of introduced you lightly, but I always like to ask, I have the honor of talking to over 100 women every year on the Vixen Voice, plus all my clients and potential clients. And one thing that's really stood out to me is how we women are amazingly multifaceted and all in a different way. I like to think of us all as different jewels. So I'm curious, what is a pivotal moment or story in your life, either something that formed your business or just intuitively comes to you in this moment, that you feel really helped carve out like this amazing woman sitting here today?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. If we could all pick that one moment in time, I think that for me, I've grown 5 businesses, 3 of my own and 2 with others. And since then, I've helped grow over 50 people's businesses alongside of them. And I think that the pivotal moment for me was when I first got interested in business. I was a practicing dermatology PA in Santa Monica, California at the time. And I started to get involved with management of the practice, started learning a little bit about how small businesses operate. And I was fascinated by this. And I started to understand how cash flow works in a small business. And I was really mesmerized by the growth opportunity of business. And I think that when we come into any traditional role, whether that is corporate or whether that is, my path, which was kind of the medical path, we hit this ceiling where we say, now what? What's next? And I think that for so many of us that have this little bug of constant evolving growth, we're always wanting to learn and evolve. And when we hit that ceiling in our careers, we oftentimes, whether you want to call it burnout or whatever you want to call it, you're sort of just feeling like you're not challenged mentally and you want to expand. It's not just a financial conversation. It's just you want to learn more. And in the entrepreneurial world, the sky's the limit. Especially here in this country, we have so many opportunities. And that's when the seed started to plant for me. And I started consulting for other medical practices first, how they could grow as I helped my own practice grow. I wasn't an owner, but I was a part of a senior team there. And then from there, I developed the first natural medical grade skincare. I raised capital for that business, and we went through multiple iterations of distribution. That's a whole episode in and of itself. We partnered with a global distribution partner and launched in Europe and South America, and then made an exit. And from there, I decided that I really wanted to pay it forward this growth mindset, and that with growth comes failure and micro failures
Mhm.
every step of the way. And I think those were the two pivotal moments for me was how can I continue to evolve and grow, and how can I get comfortable with the fact that that means I'm going to stumble, trip, and fall on a regular basis because everything is new every day. In order to grow, we have to step out of our comfort zone, and we're going to trip and fall and get a little beat up in the process. And that mindset shift just changed everything for me in my trajectory.
I love it. So you said so much I want to dig into. So I love that you said you became fascinated with cash flow because in my experience, cash flow is the most stressful part of business ownership and what scares a lot of women I work with or even stops them from going forward. Like, I remember I was having lunch with a woman who's like amazing, and she was helping her husband run what was about to become $1 billion business. And she said, honestly, when I first joined, after 6 months, I told him to take it back. I don't want to do it anymore because the cash flow portion was so stressful. And thank goodness he talked her out of it. And they have this amazing business now. But, I just emphasize like a lot of times I think people think, oh, it's because I have a small business. No, the cash flow stress is like at all levels of
Yes.
business. So I'd love to hear like what intrigued you about cash flow and like maybe what work you do with your clients or when you're mentoring people to help them get over this hurdle.
Yes. So I think of cash flow like the bloodline. So, of course, everybody is, we obviously wants to have abundance and be financially free and comfortable. But in business, I think of it like the bloodline. I don't think of it that it's going to buy some flashy something. I think of it that, coming from the heartbeat, I come from a medical background. So I see the cash flow. This is the bloodline. This is what keeps the heartbeat of the business going. And so when I first started consulting for medical practices, which is one of the coaching consulting businesses I have today, the first thing we did was help create win-win compensation structures for the team members in the practices. So I looked at this one micro piece of the cash flow. How much does it cost us to run a team
Yeah.
inside a small business? And when I'm saying small business, I'm talking about anywhere from 3 to 10 million in
Yes.
gross revenue. And so the first thing I looked at was just this one piece was we can't operate this type of business model without people. A small private practice, we need people. And so the first piece I learned was if we need this critical piece of the engine, this critical heartbeat is the people, what percentage can the practice afford to spend on to invest in people? And I focused on
Mm-hmm.
that one piece that this business model has to have this engine. Without doctors and PAs and NPs and nurses and medical assistants and front desk people, we do not have a business
Mm-hmm.
model here. And so I always look at now the business model I'm working with my clients on. I look at the one area that we have to focus energy on, and where are we putting our budget and our energy and our portion of gross revenue. So when I look at the cash flow, I'm always looking at the portion of the gross revenue. It's different than the way the accountants look at cash flow, and they look at their budget and they look at the
Yes.
percentage breakdown of the budget, the percentage of expenses. I like to look at the percentage of the revenue. If we're going to generate $100,000 this year, if our projected goal is $100,000, where are we investing in order to hit that 100? Where do we need to spend the money? In something like medical practice, they're spending it on people. If we're talking about, sales industry, I work with like an insurance, a person who owns a big insurance firm or brokerage, things like that. We also need people. We need people. And so I focus on that one area that is critical for the business, and what percentage of money that we're anticipated to generate has to be invested there. And I put the money there. I put the money where my mouth is. I invest in the people because I know that's the engine that's going to generate. And then I just look at it like a pie, just like a simple pie. I organize the income statements with just the basic departments. What are we doing for operations, sales, marketing, service? And I think of it like a pie chart and the allocation of the gross revenue and the allocation of the budget. But I always think about the allocation of gross revenue first, and then I monitor to make sure that I'm on track to hit my target revenue and I'm spending it in a way that's going to generate that revenue.
I love it and I agree. I was taught always to benchmark based on percentage of revenue as well. And I love that you pointed out that accountants and CPAs often think the opposite. Now we have some that are like fractional CFOs, et cetera, that might talk in the language we're talking. But I just want to point this out for our listeners because, especially if they're newer in business, be careful of that, right? Because a lot of times professionals are like in their silo. It's like when I had my retirement planning firm, and, I'd be like, it's great if you have a financial advisor, estate planning attorney, and a CPA, but if they're not talking to each other, like something's broken, right? Like you have to have the quarterback of the team because often what your CPA is telling you is counterintuitive to what your financial advisor is telling you, right? So same thing in business. You want to be looking at it through business goggles and these cash flow goggles that you're talking about. So I love that. I love also that you call it the bloodline, because a lot of times what I talk about, especially coaching my clients when they have a team, I'm like, okay, it's not about you, it's not about them, it's about the health of the company. The company is this third party entity, and it's about the health of the company, because without that, like we're all without a job, right? And so I love that you talk about it as the bloodline because it's very similar. So can you get into that with us a little bit? And then I want to go back to this growth and failure because I love that too. But what tips do you help your clients with when working with the team? Because a lot of new entrepreneurs, I work with a lot of women who've left corporate and they're now running a team for the first time. And like we said, it's a different stress level. Even if you've run a team, like you were in pharmaceutical sales, you might have run a team there, but it's different when you're in charge of the cash flow and running the team, right? And you're under the stress, and we're human beings. So you have to manage. That's why I love the company as the third party to keep us in line as the business owner. But like, how do you help guide your clients through this? What kind of tips could you share with us?
That's a great question and so important. Yes, I started in pharmaceutical sales at a startup company before I got into medicine. So I was like employee number 5, launching a brand new territory down here in Southeast Florida and Miami. So I definitely understand people coming from sales and switching into, that's where I started, sales, cold calling on the phone. That's where I started. It was wholesale. So I called hospital. I was a drug dealer. It was my first job. To answer your question about the team, there's 3 components I think about when building my teams. And at any given time, even today, I have a team across all of my businesses I manage about 25. I manage about 50 people. I know corporate leaders are coming out of corporates after managing hundreds of people. And so to me, it's 3 things. 1, communicate. When I say communicate, I mean communicate the vision, to your point, of the business. The vision of where are we going? Where are we building? What's our impact in this? So that's number 1, is communicate. Number 2 is the expectations, meaning deliverables, deadlines, and the metrics or benchmarks that they're being measured on. So if they don't understand, if the team doesn't understand what their responsibilities are and what their deliverables are, when their meetings are going to be, and what their performance is being measured on, so that we can celebrate these wins together and these micro wins together, then people oftentimes get frustrated. And the third is a win-win structure, meaning that everybody has a compensation model where they are rewarded when either their personal benchmarks are met or exceeded, or the company as a whole. So for me, it's about communicate, expectations, and a win-win structure. If you can nail all 3 of those things, then the sky is the limit when building your team. You will have the most loyal people, especially if you're celebrating those micro wins. That's critical. People that are hitting those benchmarks, celebrate them, recognize them, reward them, create this culture of that we're winning together, one baby step at a time.
I love this. And the interesting thing is, a lot of times you get flack from your team as you're implementing a lot of these things, right?
Yes.
And that's the important thing, because number 2, I call transparency. Like, I like a very transparent culture, but if someone came from corporate or an environment that's not transparent, it's very scary to them at first until it shows up in their favor. And then they're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. So just understand there's going to be that discomfort when you bring on a new team member, right? So I'm sure you help like guide your clients through that as well.
Yep. That's when I start with the win-win. I start with what they want. What do they want for their career? What do they want for their personal life? Are they saving for a house? What are where do they visualize themselves within the organization in 3 years? I would love to support them getting there. And so I start with everything that they want. And I'm like, this is perfect. I can definitely see you becoming that role in my business over the next 3 years. And I cannot wait to see your new house. Let's put this on your vision board. How about we
Yes.
set this on your vision board for next year? And so I paint the picture for them around their goals first. Then I'd be like, okay, how about we put together a quarterly plan so that we can put together a bonus structure for you that's going to propel you faster for your down payment. And as you hit these goals, not only are you going to move up the ladder and promote, but I'm going to hire you help. As you promote up, this does not mean you're going to be dumped on more work, right? People perceive that, oh, it's going to be more work and it's going to be harder. I'm going to support you on this journey. I'm going to support you with professional education, with self-development education, and get you a team to help you. So if we can hit these goals together over this next year, and we're going to set it in micro goals, 90-day goals, then it's going to be a win-win. You're going to have this great team. You're going to get this role. You're going to have your house. Like, I'm painting the vision for them just as much as I'm painting the business. And so I'm creating excitement for them and growth. If people don't get excited in that conversation, they're probably not the right cultural fit, because
Yes.
I'm growth minded and I want to work with growth minded people on my team.
No, I agree with that. And that's so important to know because, the other thing is a lot of times the team you start with is not the team you end with, but you're creating an opportunity for them to grow with the company so they can stay. It's just, do they want to take advantage of that opportunity or not? Because we all have free will, right?
Yes.
And I like that you put number 3 first, because that also can be a conflict because people want the security of a salary. And sometimes when it's a win-win structure, it's like performance bonus based, or you get this. And a lot of times people don't know how to take that. So the way you're handling it is, one, hitting that nail on the head plus the transparency nail on the head so that's taken care of.
Yep.
So yeah, this is really genius. Thank you for sharing this. I love it. Love it. Okay. So if you're listening and you're looking to build a team, or you have a team and you feel frustrated sometimes or resentful, let's be honest, we're all human. We get there, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. You're just a human being. So rewind and listen to this conversation, right? Like, really break down and think how you're going to implement this with your team, because it's so incredibly powerful. I love it. I love it. So, Kasey, and I love also that not only have you built businesses, but you still have a team that you're managing. So it's real time with your clients. Because I know my clients share with me a lot, like, oh my gosh, you've actually done this before. So it's cool, because I don't know about you, but a lot of times I'm just reminding them they're a human being. I'm like,
Yeah.
don't feel bad about this. Like, we've
Right.
all been through it, right?
100%. 100%. We've all been there. And even with all the tips in the world about building a team, and if we listen to every podcast and read all the books, we're still going to have team issues. Humans
Oh,
are
yes.
humans. And so I think that's just so important for people. Everybody thinks that it's just them, or they just, they have something going on with their community, or maybe they're in a small town. And no, this is across the board. Small town, big city, small business, advanced business. Managing other humans is complex, and we're all just learning in the journey on that, for sure.
Well, and this is why I'm a fan of not just having a business coach or consultant per se, but being parts of masterminds or groups with other business owners. I know, since 2013, I've done that. And I like to say it kept my sanity, because I would go once a quarter. We were financial advisors across the country, and the same problem I was having in Texas, my friend in Seattle was having, my friend in New York. And then you're like, oh, okay, it's not just me, right? And I'm a huge fan of masterminds outside of your industry too. So I always did one in my industry and one outside, so I could come up with disruptive ideas, because your industry can have tunnel vision, just like we talked about professionals, right? So speak to that. In fact, my one-on-one clients, I often encourage them to join my small group coaching too, because I'm like, there's a benefit in both. I know you're stretched from time, but like, there's a benefit to having a network of other entrepreneurs and friends going through the same journey.
Yes, no, 1,000%. There's a concept that I developed after I hit one of these really challenging points in my trajectory when there was just so many things going on. And I hit that point of, I hate to use burnout, it's so cliche, but that burnout, that overwhelm, that just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And when I hit one of those moments, I developed a concept that's very much to what you're saying around the community building. And I call it the three who's. And because a lot of people will say it's who, not how, right? So they're looking for that one who. For me, it's three levels of who's, meaning your collective group of coaches and mentors that have experience in some area. They've done it, been there. And when I say experience, I mean like a decade or more ahead of you. Like they have real life experience in this area. And you're going to want like two or three. You might have an executive life coach, you might have a business coach, you might have a tactical coach coaching you on, something specific like launching a podcast or something like that. You want a team of people here. Then your next level of who's is your collaborative people. This is your masterminds and your networking groups. So at least two or three. I couldn't agree with you more on that. At least two or three, some in your industry, some out of your industry, different levels. Maybe some are moms, maybe some are mixed gender, like all the things. And then your team of people that are supporting you, people who work for you and they're building the machine with you. So if you surround yourself with the right three level of who's, you're completely insulated from the challenges. Not that you're not going to have them, but you're going to overcome them so quickly with the right levels of who's at each of the three tiers.
I absolutely love this concept and I agree with you. And I love the idea of 10 years plus ahead of you, because as we know, what is it? X number of hours makes you an expert and it equals 10 years, right? So this is like comes naturally to these people. No, I agree. And this is the year that I started hiring coaches for parts of my personal life because I've been building this new business for 2 years. I'm like, okay, I need some love on my personal life. Yep. So let me hire some people to hold me accountable and guide me on like these areas of my life. And it's so funny. I love you're saying this because people are like, but you're a coach. Why do you need a coach? I'm like, why does the best athlete in the world need a coach? We all have like unconscious competence and unconscious incompetence that we need people helping us with.
Definitely. And personal, I'm with you too. I just got a health coach, hold myself accountable there because yes, personal and business. And yeah, I always surround myself with the three who's, even today. It doesn't matter. I have two businesses and a real estate portfolio, so technically three. And I'm constantly growing and evolving. I'm always looking to acquire businesses and partner. I always have a lot going on. And so I always have the three level of who's. I always need those mentors and advisors, my collaborators and colleagues, and my team growing. Like, without a doubt. Without it, you're going to hit a plateau. And that's just the reality. It's just the reality.
Yeah, I agree. And be conscious about who you're choosing at each level of your growth. Like right now, I have a sales coach, but I don't have a business coach. And I had an amazing one for years, but he's just where I am in my business now, it doesn't match. Like I'm looking for something different, right? So like I'm like consciously seeking that. And when it's right, it's right. But a couple of things I'd like to jump in and share is, I love the number 2 and how you said some of them can be moms and some of them can be this, because that kind of hit me this year. I think I naturally just always had it because the financial industry is a little incestuous. Like you have tons of friends in your industry, and I was a lawyer before that, and all your friends are lawyers, so it was kind of natural. But now that I went into like more coaching and consulting, like my clients around the country, I have all kinds of friends. But it's so funny. I just have entrepreneurial friends that sometimes we just get on a Zoom call to share stories. I met them in a mastermind, but I'm not in it anymore. And like, one day I was having a tough day and like, we're just laughing by the end of the call. Like, oh my God, can you believe I did this? That was so dumb. Like when you have other friends in the same, like you can laugh at yourself. And I think that's so critical to success is not taking yourself so seriously.
Totally.
Right?
Yes. Everything is a beta test. Every single day is a test. Every single day we're going to trip and fall. We're going to do something silly and be like, what the heck did I just do there? And then you're going to learn and you're going to just do it better the next day and the next time. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, I love it. And one other thing you said was burnout. And what stood out to me is, I'm going to be honest, I had a moment yesterday. I was like, what is going on? Just one thing happened. It didn't seem like a big thing. I was having a great day coaching. Like everything was going amazing. And it just took me off my game. And like these things sneak in. Like, isn't it weird how something will just sneak in and you're like, where did that come from? And you have to have like, I don't want to say coping mechanisms because it's stronger than that, but you have to know how to put your foundation back under yourself. Does that make sense?
1000%. It's that success mindset, that peak performance mindset. I got certified through Tony Robbins for executive life coaching back in 2017 for this exact reason, because these things sneak up, and then I was finding that they were derailing me. They were derailing my headspace, and I was losing confidence, or I was obsessing and not sleeping over the thing. And I was like, what now? What am I going to do next? And so I think continuing, you don't have to go as far as getting certified. I went a little obsessive there. But I think just really learning the tools of mindset to start to see things for the positive. It can be as simple as daily gratitude journaling, because when those things happen, you're like, oh man, that really sucked. And you start to feel like, oh, maybe it's a key team member that quit on you, out of the blue. That's a common one that shakes people up. Or, there's something like that, some other opportunity or that you really thought you had that was going great and then you didn't. And then that can shake people up. Legal issues can shake people up. But simple things like daily gratitude, like, you know what? This is one thing, it's one step, it's one issue in this one season out of all these amazing things that are going on and all these amazing things that I've achieved in my life. And I've overcome harder things than this. And this is, again, a learning point. And I do have the tools to overcome this within me and within my who's. I can make some phone calls right now. I can get some support on how to navigate this and move past it and put action steps in place to move past it. And the mindset strategies, I think, are probably the most important, even over the cash flow and the business acumen. The 4 pillars of holistic leadership for me are business acumen, self-leadership, team leadership, and industry leadership. Nail those 4 and you got it covered. But that self-leadership, that mindset is so critical to build those tools. Listen to podcasts, learn from others, read books, build that mindset muscle so that you can become resilient when these things take you down for a hot minute, but you just want it to be a minute. You don't want it to take you down for too long.
Yes. It's all about the bounce. I said this as a financial advisor, right? Everyone talks about 2008, the great crash, and then 2020, we had a terrible crash, but we rebounded quickly, so it didn't hurt people. Even 2008, even though it was the greatest dip, like we came out of it. Now I'm forgetting because I've left that world behind. I could have told you exact stats before. Whereas 2000 to 2002, which a lot of us saw our parents go through, right, was a 3-year period. So even though technically it wasn't as steep a decline, that's more painful the longer it lasts. And the same thing with when you get knocked down, the longer you stay down, it's hindering your progress.
Yep, 1000%. It's all about the resilience. It's all about the resilience and how quickly you can recover. And and that's why I hired a health coach this year, because the analogy between peak performance, and I'm not an athlete by any means, everybody. Like, I'm terrible. I do I call it old lady Zumba and some terrible pickleball. Like, that's me. So I'm not by all. I don't come from a fitness background at all. But the elements of that peak performance mindset really apply to business ownership. And so with everybody I work through, and I just launched an accelerator program, one whole pillar is health and energy. I brought in an outside expert just on that, because I think it's underestimated how critical it is to have that peak performance mindset and that energetic, that fuel that gives us the energy to get out of bed and get excited the next day to tackle whatever is coming our way. And it's so critical. I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of it in their entrepreneurial journey, because we can teach cash flow, we can teach team building, we can teach the tactical things. But if we don't have that mindset strength, then the daily hurdles will bring us down. It will feel heavy. It will feel heavy.
Yeah. And, I think this is underrated, especially for women, because similar to you, I got certified under Brendan Bouchard as a certified high performance coach, which is really life high performance coaching, but I use it in my business coaching, and I really did it for myself. And then I was like, wow, I feel like I've become a better person by becoming a coach, right? And then I trained to become a spiritual healer. So I'm like, wow, I feel like I even up leveled. You just become more compassionate and loving and understand that everyone's coming from a different angle, right? And accepting of everyone. But a key component of high performance is energy. In fact, it's like module 3 when I'm coaching that. And for me, I always called myself an energy broker in my prior career. Like I would laugh. I was like 45 running circles around the 25-year-olds in my office, right? Or, or 40. And now I'm 48 and I'm like, wait, where'd that energy go? Like, it's like by 4 o'clock, I'm like, okay, if I don't work out in the morning, like it ain't happening at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And so a lot of women I work with are dealing with that. And so you have to find these new ways to like, and same as you, I hired a health and nutrition coach and I've not been doing the fitness part recently because I have too much on my plate. I have kind of stuck to the nutrition and I got off the last few days. I immediately saw a difference. Like 4 o'clock came and I was like, oh, or I was hungry at night. And I'm like, okay, I know if I just eat my protein, I have plenty of energy. I'm not hungry at night. Like, okay, but it's building that muscle. Like, okay, this is a new way of being. I know it works. I've experienced it. Now let me do the practice so it becomes a habit.
1000%. 1000%. It's like the daily movement, the nutrition, outside, getting fresh air off the screens, being in Mother Nature. These things are like they're so underestimated. We all know them, but we don't necessarily do them. And you and I are about the same age. And so the more we get the bad habits over our decades of life and
Right.
maturity, those bad habits get ingrained in us, and then it's harder to be resilient. And so I could not agree more that the resilience mindset is very interconnected with the physical being, and bringing those two things together so that we can overcome these hard things that come our way. Because stepping into business ownership or into a new chapter, if you're in corporate, you're coming into a new chapter, it's scary and it's hard. And there's just no way around it because it's new, and that brings on fear. Change creates fear. And if we have that energy and mindset that we can do it, then we will do it. And if we have the mindset that we're afraid or it feels hard or we have a limiting belief in some way, that's going to hold us back. And that's the secret to success.
Yeah, no, I love it. And also, like you said, every new thing has its challenges because you've built multiple successful businesses. I have. I was in Dean Graziosi's mastermind last year. And when I met him, he was like, oh, what are you? I was like, oh, I did this and I sold it. And now I'm doing this. And he goes, huh, you feel like a 12-year-old, don't you? And I was like, yes, how are you like seeing me, right? Like it's like you think, okay, I did this successfully, it's easily transferable. And that's exactly why I have a sales coach now. Like I had incredible closing rates in my old business, right? But then you change the new business and it's like, what am I doing? Right.
Yes.
And it's really, she's helping me transfer that skill set to the
Yes.
new business.
Yes, yes, 1000%. I've been in 5 different businesses, totally different industries, from pharmaceutical sales to medical practice to coaching and consulting. Those are kind of similar models, and a global skincare brand. So they are completely polar opposites. And we do carry our skill sets, certainly our leadership skill sets and our professional skill sets, from one pivot and one iteration of our journey to another. But then there's nuances in that industry that we go, huh, well, I didn't know that was going to happen in this industry, because in this other industry, it worked like this. And so then we're like, okay, now we're going back to the fundamentals of what we know about ourselves as a
Yes.
leader and as a professional. Now we have to we have to put our thinking caps on and be like, how do we apply this to this industry? And there are skill sets that we know we have, but then there's also how we're going to build our team and, our processes, essentially, just like what you're doing with your sales coach. How are we building our processes in this new industry that's industry specific? But there's so much that we're carrying from that prior. So I always tell people, like, don't be afraid to make that pivot. Don't be afraid to
Right.
make that change, because you have more experience than you think you do. Coming
Mm-hmm.
from your prior world, there's a lot you can apply. Yes, there's a few industry specific things, but you're going to get a coach. You're going to bring on a partner. You're going to bring on a team
Yep.
member that's going to fill that void and help you get over that hump. Don't be afraid just because it feels new to make the change or make the pivot.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I actually love working with women who are making that change because I'm like, okay, what's working for you and how were you successful here? Let's figure out ways to leverage that to get you quick wins while you're working on the nuances, right? Because businesses, I mean, you have to build up the momentum of wins. And like you said, I mean, failures do come, but I like to say there are wins and there are lessons,
Yes.
right? There is
Yes,
no
exactly.
failure.
Exactly, exactly. And those 90-day goals, like to me, setting those
Yes.
90-day goals in bite size. So you're focusing on this thing this quarter and put a celebration on the calendar before you've hit the goal because you're going to celebrate the progress. Even if you don't hit the goal all the way, you made progress from where you are today. If you stay laser focused every 90 days on one thing and you have a measurable mark to that one thing, then you put a reward for yourself on the calendar today for 90 days from now. You block a spa day or you say, I'm going to buy myself a new outfit, whatever it's going to be, keep that on the calendar because even if you don't hit the target, hit the bullseye, even if you hit the target anywhere on the target means you made progress, means you took a shot. You took a shot and you made progress from where you are today. So it's important not to do all the things at once. Pick the one thing over 90 days and have a preset time that you are celebrating the progress and success that you made pushing towards that target and goal.
I love putting that on the calendar because I'm a huge celebrator of wins. I'm going to steal that with my clients. But the other thing that does is it helps you avoid shiny object syndrome, especially new entrepreneurs. There's so much noise, and everyone's like, oh, do this, do this, do this. But like when you have your goals, okay, does that apply to my goals? Yes, it does. Okay, maybe I'll listen to this person, right? If it doesn't apply to your focus for that quarter, you put it on the shiny objects list and you revisit it later
That's
if
right.
it applies to your goals. So I like to help my clients use that as a decision filter so they can say yes and no quicker to who they're even going to listen to.
That's a great suggestion, 1,000%, because there's so much noise, social media platforms and, just out there in the community. There's so many things, do this and do this. And no, stay the course, stay the course. Know what you're shooting for. Know that North Star. I call it the Polaris Point. Know that North Star Polaris Point. That's your 3 year goal. Reverse engineer it to 1 year and then your 90 days and pick the one key thing that is critical for the next 12 steps, because 12 steps gets you to 3 years. The one critical thing for the next 90 days, it's going to be able to be that foundation, that building block. Maybe it's generating leads. Maybe it's a new partner. Maybe you're pivoting, you're making a new program or a new offer. Get it done in 90 days and set something measurable for it that you can celebrate at that point in time. And then you're doing a new 90 days, and before you know it, big progress is being made.
Yeah, no, I love it. I actually do exactly the same thing. We go 3 years, 1 year, quarter. I like to reverse engineer backwards. Love it so much. Okay, so before we get too far, I was curious about some things you shared with me before we hopped on. I know for female entrepreneurs and high performers, you have 4 strategies every woman should know. So I need to know them.
Yes. The strategies, there's so many strategies, but I think for me, it is about the time and the energy. The time and the energy is critical. And so it's where you're splitting your time between work and personal life, right? So that
Mhm.
holistic being. And then within your business, where are you spending your time by department? And so one of the things that, one of the formulas that I developed is called the Mezi calendar system is 4 steps. So this is what I think is really important, especially for business owners, but you can apply it to any industry. And the M stands for your marketing. And this is really how you're promoting yourself. It doesn't have to be business marketing. This could be if you're in a corporate world, how are you promoting yourself as the expert in your space? And so that's the first one. The M is marketing. What are you putting on your calendar right now that is getting yourself known, basically? The second one is expansion. What are the new conversations that you're having? Conversations equal opportunities. Coming for you, have a sales coach right now, so you're probably talking a lot about that. The more conversations that you have, the more opportunities will present themselves. So this could be networking, this could be your sales process. What are you doing to expand beyond your current bubble, beyond your current ecosystem? What are you doing to expand? And in doing so, what are you also eliminating? Because we can't just take on more. So we need to eliminate the things that are not serving us and expand in new ways. So that's the E, is expansion. So M is marketing, or meaning, what are you doing to promote? E is that expansion, meaning conversations. Who are you talking to that's new? The S is your self-care. Are you prioritizing your self care? Is it on your calendar? Do you have designated times for body movement? What are you listening to for mindset? What are you doing to calm your nervous system? I have a sauna. I have two homes, a sauna in one, a sauna mat in another one, and I'm in the sauna or on the sauna mat frequently. I'm outside. I am doing a deep breathing or meditation pretty regularly, even if it's only 5 minutes to reset. And I'm also taking intentional disconnects. I travel and I turn off my screens a couple times a year into a culture that's out of the US that I feel very remote and removed. Are you putting these things on your calendar? So the S is self-care, and is it a priority? Because if it's not, that's very dangerous. And the I is your internal communications, meaning with your team, with your spouse, yourself. How are you having internal meetings with the people that are important to you and communicating with them? So I is that the people that are in your tightest inner circle that are most critical, your loved ones or your team, how are you having internal communications and conversations to make sure that everybody understands each other? We're working together towards common goals. We're supporting each other in a healthy way. And if we're not, we're fixing that very quickly with our own processes, or we're getting a coach and intermediary to help solve that. So that is the Mezi calendar system that I work from, that I find really can propel people with this holistic leadership concept of business success and personal fulfillment at the same time.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's beautiful. And I love the internal communication. I also think a key is, it amazes me how many business owners don't have a rhythm to meetings with their team.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's a business changer.
That's right.
Like,
That's right. It's a business changer. Those meetings can be regular and on the calendar with the critical people.
yes.
If it's sales, it's weekly. If it's marketing, it's probably bi-weekly, right? We're talking, if it's finance and operations, it's at least monthly and 1000% quarterly. So, everybody should be on that calendar regularly, depending on what they're doing for your business.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, Kasey, we have so much more to talk about, but unfortunately, time is limited, and I believe in time and energy too, so I like to honor your time. Before we go, we didn't really get to dig into much about Kasey the woman, so I would love to know. I love a lot of what you do, talking about time, energy, etc. Like, these are very much things I talk about, and one thing, a lot of my clients have left corporate, or they're still in corporate with their side hustle, so I try to help them rebalance their feminine energy, because corporate tends to be more linear, analytical, masculine energy, and we need both, right? And so I'd love to know, when do you feel your feminine energy flowing the most? Like, when do you step into that essence and power?
Yeah, and this is such an important point for high achieving professionals and high achieving women, because we tend to drive and go, go, go. And corporate entrepreneur, business owner, we're building something and we're on a mission, and we know we're gonna crush it. And I think that that's something that a lot of high achievers really struggle with. And I'm glad that you asked that question, because it's something that I've been really paying attention to for the past about decade, is how do I step into that role to take care of myself, to take care of my loved ones, to feel the feels, right? That in the growth journey, sometimes we're so focused on the goals that we're not feeling the feels. Now I'm very aware of my emotions. I've spent a lot of time studying emotional intelligence, and I'm very aware of that balance. Am I in a state of mind where I'm getting a little bit obsessed with the business side of things, and I need to take a step back? And for me, it is those disconnects, like very intentional disconnects without screens. My husband and I travel together, we turn off the screens, and we do it in a new culture. And that's when I find that I can reset that feminine energy. Is I'm learning something new. Now I'm experiencing new foods. I'm speaking a different language. I'm seeing, different clothes, different materials and fabrics for clothes. I'm looking at the universe in a new lens, and I'm not just thinking about a goal in that moment. I'm thinking about the here and now and today. I'm appreciating this beautiful culture that I'm in. I'm appreciating the people and how they do things differently. and I'm just being present. And to me, that has been the game changer and the reset button to really get back in touch with myself as a woman and get out of that hustle mindset and appreciate life for what it has to be life, love, all the things. And also contribution. That is the last one I want to add to that is now contribution is a big part of what I do. I volunteer a lot of time and resources, donations, things like that to the University of Miami, my alma mater, to the Launchpad program to help other entrepreneurs grow. It's a big passion project of mine. I want to pay forward skills and tools to the next generation, not business acumen, mindset. I coach them on the mindset and the resilience. It's not the business acumen. They could learn that from the business school. I want to help them on how do you become a new version of you in this process, a better version of you, not just the skills. And I think that shift and paying it forward and helping others also helps me feel grounded. It helps me be in that caretaker role that feels good and feels fulfilling.
I love it. And I think that's why it's so important to mirror like the personal growth coaching with entrepreneurial consulting, because to me, it is one of the greatest personal growth avenues that exist on earth, right? Like, and so let's take advantage of that and level up. And I also think the more you grow personally, the better your business does. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. So I love that. Well, Kasey, what color is your feminine essence or energy?
Oh, white.
I
White,
love it.
clean and
Beautiful.
crisp and airy. Yes.
And
Yes.
pure.
Yes. Yeah, yes. I don't know about that, but okay. I'll take it.
Just take it. Take it, take it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'd love to ask anything else you want to share with our audience. I know that you have a ton of exciting things going on right now that we didn't even get to talk about. But everyone, the details will be in the show notes. And friendly reminder, if you're listening and you're driving and you can't see the show notes, remember, if you go to vixengathering.com/podcast and subscribe, we will deliver all the amazing show notes, resources from our guests, how to follow them every Tuesday and Thursday. So that's a nice, easy way to get this info. But Kasey, real quickly, if you want to share with everyone how they can learn more about you easily and kind of what exciting things you have in the pipeline.
Yeah, I would love to connect. Instagram and LinkedIn are where I hang out. So I'm at Kasey D'Amato on both. Shoot me a DM. I answer them. My team is in there. They filter and they send them to me. So I do answer. So I'd love to connect there. I'm in the process of launching a book. My book is coming out this summer. It's all on holistic leadership. So it is tips on how to advance yourself as a early stage business owner and how to do this in a way that feels fulfilling and you can enjoy the journey and the process. I just launched a new next level accelerator as well as a series of mastermind retreats. So all for women who want to propel their lives. They want to do it with like-minded others. They want to think bigger. They don't want it to be scary. They want to think bigger and understand the steps, but they want to have that holistic balance and purpose in the process. So I'm happy. I have lots of free tools on time and also on growth strategy. Be happy to share with your audience growth strategy and time blocking. That's what I'm all about. And just happy to connect. And kudos to you for podcast. It's on my bucket list to launch a podcast. I have much respect for everybody who hosts a podcast. I know it's not a small feat. So kudos to you for having so much success and in amazing episodes that you're putting together.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it takes a lot of commitment, but it's 100% worth it. Like the amazing conversations, guests, the impact is awesome. So thank you very much. Any final words of wisdom or a message you would like to leave our listeners with today, Kasey?
You know, the words of wisdom, I think, is just you don't have to be alone. You don't have to go through this journey by yourself. All of us have been there and are going there. We're all at different stages. And, none of us are experts. We're all learning in the process. So surround yourself with surround yourself with people at different levels of experience, and you will see that the game will change. Put yourself in the rooms, put yourself in the masterminds, get the coaches, do all these things. Don't stay in your silos. Come in and join the party, and you will see that it can be easier than you think it is to make some serious change and impact and really live your life with success and purpose.
I love that, and I agree. I started my Aligned Income Accelerator, my new cohort, yesterday. We do one a quarter. And the very first session, we set goals, but I kind of force them to state their revenue goal out loud to the group, which is a very new experience for many women. And then at the end, I was like, how was that? And they're all so excited to get to share. Like, you think you don't, like, you're afraid to share these things. So it's just really, of course, you have to be in the right place, the safe space, and with the right listeners. But please find that group where you can speak your voice, where you can talk about what you want, you can talk about your dreams, and it's just absolutely life-changing. I love that so much. Well, as we wrap up, for those of you who tune in every week or twice a week, as you know, I always say the world needs more love. So this week, I want you to love on yourself. Go find one of these 3 levels of connection that we talked about. Kind of ask yourself, which level am I missing? Which level needs some more attention? And go be intentional. You may not find it within a week. Be intentional about the group you join and who you surround yourself with, but just set a goal. Okay, I'm going to fulfill this need. And it really is a life changer. Yes. So thank you so much, Kasey. I love that concept, and I love how you organize everything. I love it when we give hacks or tips that are from the heart, but also easily applicable, and you are full of them. So appreciate you so much. And for everyone listening, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so future episodes are automatically downloaded directly to your device. And if you want access to today's show notes, including links to all the resources we mentioned, visit vixengathering.com/podcast. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week for another episode of the Vixen Voice.